want to welcome everyone back to this month's Roundtable, your all-in-one comprehensive view of what's happening across the real estate industry, straight from some of the industry's earliest technology adopters and foremost experts in technology, marketing, brokerage, government policy, capital construction, and cybersecurity. As always, this is a three-part show. Part one, introductions, with what's new for each of our roundtable hosts in their business sector. Part two, sector focus. We unpack past month's biggest news and what's coming in the next month. And part three, what does that mean for your business? How can you continue to outpace your competition? I'm Andreas Senning, host, co-founder, brokerage owner, and commercial director here at the state of Connecticut. Joining me this month, none other than the one and only Saul Klein, CEO, San Diego MLS, Realtor Emeritus, evangelist, the original internet guru for what is real estate. Realtor.com. Saul, nice to see you as always.
Good to
Thank
be
you for
back.
joining us in July, ahead of July 4th. And not just Saul, everyone. This month we have Dan Wagner, and we're breaking it up a bit. It'll be Saul, Dan, and I for the first part of today's show. And part two, the half-hour mark, will be Rebecca Carlson, Chris Abel, and Darren Haynes. So, Dan, nice to see you back with us again.
Thank you, Andreas. It's great to be here, and obviously, it's our nation's birth, so it's always a fun time during this time of year.
250th.
We're clicking along.
Welcome back, and look who's behind you, just to celebrate with you, Abraham Lincoln, right?
Being from the land of Lincoln, there's nobody better than Abraham Lincoln, 100%.
I love it. I was so excited to do this as a two-part session for this month at this time with these guests, right? So, Saul, you're there in San Diego. We've got Chicago. We've got Connecticut. We've got the big, beautiful bill. We've got businesses booming in some areas. Better yet, I've got people telling me businesses, they can't find businesses. They don't know where it is. And I'm turning around to my colleagues, and they're all saying, we've never been busy. I'm going to lob that over to Dan first. Dan, you're fresh back from Washington. We dropped you in for a quick segment. So, where are we today in the middle of the country? In your words, from your point of view?
I think that people are very excited for commercial real estate. I think they're looking at all these different opportunities that exist with, some of the challenges with office. Real estate comes new visions and new ideas for developing apartments in some of these locations. We're also taking a look at some of the areas that are the big box stores that might be empty and looking at trying to repurpose those into self-storage. But a lot of people are very bullish on how things are going. And I know brokers are busier than ever around here.
Right, busier than ever. And bullish, and there's always a pathway to profitability. That's the great thing about real estate. Over time, it will increase in value. We joke, and Saul, over to you, about this car wash. At Saul's, it was land, it was a car wash, and it might one day be a launch pad for space shuttles to the moon at this point. But Saul, how is business in your area? And thanks for that. Yeah.
Well, so like you said, there's always opportunities. So business is good. The MLS business is good. Properties are staying on the market a little bit longer. And while sellers aren't crazy about that, that's probably a healthier position for everybody. The car wash business, it's summertime. And of course, San Diego, the sun always shines just about. But we have great months and during the summer. So I love that part of the year. And also, this idea of a car wash to me has really always been very interesting because it's such a simple business. Right. And the opportunity that can come from such a simple business to me is astounding. So car wash is great. Real estate's great. I mean, I really got to congratulate Dan because I think he carried the 1031 issue all by himself.
We were
talking about it here every month. And to see that they kept that in there, I was thinking, that was Dan.
So
he's the reason.
The 1031 is I sleep with a 1031 pillow underneath my head every night. So it's something that I live, eat, and breathe. And here at Inland, we created the fractional share investing in the 1031, as you know. So we are very excited that the big beautiful bill passed, and that's kind of my whole discussion points really today, Andreas, is the big beautiful bill, because it is impacting real estate in very positive ways. So I'm excited about talking about that tonight too. But I can't wait to hear Saul, because obviously you know what's the latest going on with the MLSs, and you're such a leader in California. I mean, there's so much happening with you too.
Well, yeah, there is. But again, I want to congratulate you. And I was
Thanks.
excited too to see this. All of the things that we talk about all the time in real estate kind of made its way through. The big winner, it seems, was the real estate industry.
Oh my gosh. I would like to, and I appreciate you singling me out, but it really, Shannon McGann, with the National Association of Realtors, plus all of the federal political coordinators, all the volunteer FPCs that each member of Congress has attached to them, a volunteer realtor, that the reason, one of the best reasons why we're a part of NAR, and in Inland is one of the largest privately held commercial real estate companies involved with NAR, is precisely because of the power of R. And when you have these top level staff people like a Shannon McGann, who leads our advocacy efforts, and we have people at the level of an Evan Lydiard, Brian Green, these folks that are in the policy areas that are just world renowned. It's terrific to be able to hit the top thing. So I'll kind of go over some of the reasons why this bill is so important to NAR. The bill includes 5 major priorities that pass for NAR: the permanent extension of lower individual tax rates, an enhanced and permanent qualified business income deduction for Section 199A. That's very important when I say the word permanent, because that gives businesses the ability to know and plan. And there's nothing more important in business than stability and knowing and planning. A temporary 5-year quadrupling of the state and local SALT deduction cap beginning for 2025. And protection, and this is a big one, protection for business SALT deductions, so they didn't go into that. And of course, a 1031 like-kind exchanges, and the permanent extension of the mortgage interest deduction. These are really the backbone of our real estate industry. And to make matters even, but things even more exciting, is that we have the extension of the opportunity zones. And one of the areas that they're going to be looking at more so is having the opportunity zones being able to go into rural areas. And that's because some of the key folks in the rural parts of America are saying, hey, don't forget about us. But voters love the strengthening of opportunity zones. The NAR found that 80% of the voters support these kind of tax incentives, and it drives economic development in so many different areas. So the opportunity zones, the 1031 like-kind exchanges, all of the certainty now in the tax code is phenomenal. Now, when I tell you all this passed the Senate by 1 vote, and right now the Speaker of the House, Johnson, is working with President Trump to get up to 217 votes to finish it off in the House. We believe, our best prognostication believes that we're going to have this big, beautiful bill passing the House, and it'll be signed by the president in very short time. So we're excited about this. We look forward to real estate really growing from these certainty of tax. It's very important to do, and I can't tell you how happy we are that the industry came together, and really NAR just hit it out of the park. And if anybody wants to know why they're members of this association or question that, this is a perfect example of bringing together all these different groups within real estate under the banner of NAR, and we could not be more proud of the National Association of Realtors and our membership as a commercial real estate company. So there you go.
So Dan, it was like there was a coalition of forces.
There's a coalition of forces. So the Real Estate Roundtable, the National Association of Realtors, NAREIT, International Council of Shopping Centers, just across the board, there's all these groups. The other group that we're very proud to be part of is the U.S. Chamber of Commerce. And the grassroots, though, there's nothing quite like NAR with the grassroots. Everyone really looks to the gold standard in advocacy, and that's the National Association of Realtors. To have 1.5 million members, and every member of Congress has a very important realtor attached to them, and we're truly one of the last bipartisan organizations. When you talk about people that have to eat what they kill every day, they all align. Even the Republican, Democrat, left versus right, they all come together and join arms in protecting private property rights, and that is just paramount for our success as a country. And when the realtors speak, I guarantee you these members of Congress listen because they're boots on the ground in their districts and know what impacts folks. And people get to see how the opportunity zones impact people, that if you got rid of the 1031, you would just stymie all development. Everything would come crashing to a big halt. You have these permanency of these tax deductions and the pass through of working on these issues. You have the other thing. We're going to have the 100% expensing of working with manufacturing and the people that are working
100% deduction for cost unqualified production, right?
Yes.
Industrial, yes. And I'm gonna hold on. I'm gonna bring you full circle there. For those that don't know, right? The big beautiful bill and 1031 exchanges, and the reason I joke about Saul's car wash is important. On zoning, right? Under all his land. Well, that land has to be developed, and that car wash wasn't always a car wash. And many of those rural areas, those farms, could only be farms that would never be developed into anything more without the 1031 exchange, without the ability to grow it and the generational wealth therein. So these mechanisms, for those that don't know, and everybody on this call should know, on this show should know, but just in case they didn't, I wanted to butt in there.
Okay.
Big beautiful bill, and I'm going to get you a pillow, Dan, passed by Wagner and company. To be fair.
It's all that positive thought that he brought to us every single month.
Oh no, it's the show. We're gonna say it was the show.
It had a positive impact.
It was the show.
Dan, you make a great point too about the fact that when we talk about the National Association of Realtors, this is not party specific.
Yes.
This is about people who come together for those things that benefit real estate. And I'm a two-time over major contributor to RPAC, to the Political Action Committee of NAR. I've spent a lot of money over the years, and regardless of what my political affiliation might be, I've donated to both sides. And what I do is I look at the people who are looking for money in Congress, and typically because I don't know these people personally, but I'll contribute. If NAR says these people are the people we want to support, then I look for the ones that have the lowest amount of money raised. And then it doesn't matter to me whether they're a Democrat or Republican. I'll contribute my money to those people because this is all orchestrated for us by the National Association of Realtors. And we talk about, maybe we need to change the name, the Blue Party, being Realtor Blue, not political party blue. And so if you're a realtor, usually you will look very closely at the politicians who support our issues in real estate, and that's where you'll put your money.
So,
it's a great point, Sal. Thank you for your donations. I'm right with you. It's an investment for our industry to be able to have people. I love supporting RPAC because it helps our industry so much. So, way to go to highlight that as well.
Right. So it's and do invest and go to May 8th, I think it was this year. All the realtors that go to Capitol Hill, we're all out there talking to our congressman. I'm a member of NAR. The other day, I was talking. What was it? Actually, it was my own father. I'll give a shout out to my father here. And he said, hey, what do you think about the big beautiful bill and all this, all the things going on? I said, well, it's great for real estate. That's all that matters. That's the industry for me for now. So Saul's point, Dan, you're right. National Association of Realtors are out there protecting us, and they've given us so much. Not just because the real estate sector gives so much. It's what gives you that affordable housing and so on. So, not to intrude. Saul, how long have you been with NAR? And Dan, you're in NAR as well.
So I've been a realtor for about, matter of fact, today I have on my realtor emeritus pin. I've been a realtor for just about 50 years. and proud to be a realtor because I think we do a lot for private property rights. And I think that one of the reasons this country is as great as it is because people can own real estate.
Right. Dan?
I've been a realtor for about 20 years, and I got to tell you, I haven't seen really organizations as powerful at the local, state, national level. I have seen the realtors be able to fight back and stop just insane legislation at the local level. We've had Chicago that's tried to impose some very laborious and draconian measures against real estate, and the realtors were the ones that stopped a lot of those. At the state level, people that are trying to be able to work the system for their own gain, and the realtors are able to fight that back at the state level in Illinois. And then, of course, at the national level, the 1031 is continuing to exist because of this organization. Plus, plus, plus. I mean, there's things that like the carried interest. No one thought the carried interest was going to go away, but that was on the chopping block. And the realtors are able to stop the carried interest from being chopped away because that disincentivizes people from investing in taking the risk of real estate. You have the idea that they were going to charge or cap the mortgage interest deduction for commercial real estate would devastate commercial buildings. So you have this, 90 some percent residential organization, but it's really working on about 51% of commercial bills and commercial issues because it's all there. Real estate, you can't break apart commercial and residential. They all are one and the same. And you have, how many times in the commercial industry do you hear people talking about what are the rooftops around that shopping mall? It's all about how the housing. And everything is so interrelated. And so, obviously you have the blue R for residential, you have the red R for commercial, but it truly is the realtor party. And I just couldn't be more proud to be part of anything than the National Association of Realtors. And I appreciate being able to highlight that because sometimes, recent history, they've had to take some bruises this past year, but this is a prime example of how everybody coming together. It's not, a Zillow coming together with their network of people because they don't have one like we do. It's the National Association of Realtors. I mean, this is something that I think defines the value of our membership more than anything else is our advocacy. And I can't tell you how great Shannon McGann and her team, they're bar none, they're the best.
Dan, you make this point too about it's really a unified view of real estate. And that's key. It's not residential, commercial, industrial, agricultural. It's a unified view of
Yes.
real estate and how one feeds the other and what are the proper balances and the proper tax laws to make it all work together, a unified view of real estate.
Well, and Saul, I'm a member of the Realtors Land Institute. I'm glad you brought that up because land is, again, what's our code say? Under all is the land. That's the first part of the Realtor Code of Ethics. And so the land, you can't have any structure unless you have land. And the land usually is what those brokers are the ones that start off the commercial buildings. They start off the residential buildings because everything came from the farm world. And in most cases around America. So you are right. And the industrial folks, and then don't forget our IREM friends, the people that manage this stuff. Across the board, we have the CCIM people. Oh my gosh, if you want the Green Berets of brokerage, I mean, they are the best. I mean, so many professional designations at the residential level as well. People that want to go above and beyond and not just be they're out for themselves. They want to be out there for their clients. I see that all the time with really good brokers at the residential level and commercial level with NAR. And Sal, I'm sure there's always a bad apple every now and then, but boy, the NAR weeds those people out because they have to be in this wonderful program of working together. And if you're a member of your association, that's what that three-way agreement, you're a member of the local, state, and national. It couldn't be better. And you learn so much as a broker where you can grow and really enhance your income and grow what you need to do, because you're doing this to be able to pay for your family and do what's best for your community. And there's this example after example of what realtors do from the Good Neighbor Awards. I mean, there's realtors that are creating, like my boss, Dan Goodwin, he has the affordable housing company that he received a Good Neighbor Award for New Directions. He has $100 million worth of affordable housing that helps the working poor. And there's thousands of things that our realtors are doing all around the country. So not just fighting for the industry in other ways, they're also helping the community in Boys and Girls Club with Tom Salomon's efforts as the president of NAR to bring the Boys and Girls Club to bear to help realtors are helping kids learn and grow. And I mean, I could go on and on, but it's exciting to be part of this. And I love Andreas, this wonderful platform you've created. I believe the 100th show is this December, right?
It's this December. Could not wait. I knew whoever thought we'd get to 100, but that's what my producer said. Regan Mendoza, thank you for being our producer for so long. He's no longer with us. But he said, you got to do one to get to 100. And I laughed the day he said it. And all of a sudden, here we are with 4,200 views, tune-ins and downloads monthly. We're in the top 10% by Google rankings. We're in the top 100 by some ranking that Dan got sent to him from somewhere else. And it's this vehicle to communicate with the industry and our peers. And in some cases, at this point, even my clients tune in and future clients tune in. But and thank you for that. And thank you to our audience, and thank you to my co-hosts. I couldn't do it without you. And in line with what you guys are saying with NAR, you are who you're with, and your network is your net worth. And NAR is a vast network that when we go together, when we work together, we can accomplish anything. And Saul, you're out there internationally now with the international MLS, right? With data standards. All of this isn't possible everywhere. NAR made all this possible here. So, Saul?
Yeah. Well, Dan brought this up, and so he mentioned the three-way agreement. So everything is great, but that doesn't mean everything's not being challenged and threatened right now. And so for me, it's time to take the message of the threat to the masses, to everybody. And so I am the CEO of a multiple listing service. I believe that multiple listing services in residential real estate are nothing less than a miracle. It makes residential real estate, almost liquid. And so you can put your property on the market, and within a short period of time, that property, if it's priced right, is going to sell. And the MLSs, for the most part, follow rules promulgated by the National Association of Realtors. Now, the National Association of Realtors doesn't own an MLS, but it has this umbrella set of rules. And if an MLS is owned by a realtor association, they follow the rules. They're covered by the insurance of the National Association of Realtors. So really the rules are, like, in my mind, best practices. They're best practices for MLSs, and we try to follow those best practices. But you know what? Whenever you get a bunch of competitors cooperating with one another, you become a target. Become a target for the Department of Justice, because competitors shouldn't be cooperating, I guess. And so in real estate, what you've got is you've got competitors coming together, cooperating with one another for the good of the consumer, for the good of the homeowner, the first people that own property, the people that want to sell property, the people that are buying property, the people that facilitate all of this. And that's under threat. So NAR is under great threat right now. The three-way agreement's being challenged, I think, in three different pieces of litigation. Multiple listing services, which are owned typically by, not 100%, but typically by Association of Realtors, they're under threat. We've got a lot of civil litigation, as well as the Department of Justice and the FTC looking at us. So what I'm telling, matter of fact, I did it today. I'm going out to caravans around here in San Diego, talking to realtors about the fact that MLSs, brokers, and agents, people don't realize this, are under threat. And what we have to look at is we have to look at all of the litigation that we're confronting, and I'll mention that in a minute. And then we have to look at how much does it cost to defend yourself against this litigation. And if you're not saving for this, you're in big trouble. And then maybe you get defeated in court and there'll be a judgment against you. And you better be ready for that. And maybe you won't get defeated in court, you'll be a settlement. Well, you better be ready for that as well. And so you look at the major cases that we're confronting right now, they're civil class action litigation. And the major cases are the one that was in Missouri that was settled by the National Association of Realtors. That's a whole nother story, but it's the Sitzer case. And when that was a $418 million settlement by NAR, and then the bigger brokerage firms settled as well as about $1 billion. And people think, and well, there was a major practice change. We had to remove the offer of compensation from MLS. And that's a whole new way to do business when the MLS doesn't offer compensation. So we had to go through that and remove that offer of compensation. Well, now we know the attorneys for the plaintiffs are also going back to MLSs, examining what they've done post-settlement. And I'm sure one of the things they're looking for is they're looking to find MLSs that aren't compliant with the settlement. Because if you're not compliant, there's a whole nother pocket of money for the plaintiffs. And believe me, they want more money, because I read the other day that the average amount of money going to the members of the class in that suit, where it's about $1 billion in damages collected, is $16 per person. So $16 doesn't, and the attorneys are making $333 million of that billion. So you've got the Sitzer case. You've also got that case is the settlements being appealed, because an attorney professor, I think from Notre Dame, said $16 isn't enough. And besides, there are other problems with this settlement. So there's an appeal of the settlement. And what happens if the settlement appeal is successful? Where do you stand as an MLS, as a broker? Where are they going to, what if it's not, the 416 million by NAR wasn't enough? Do you think that maybe we could end up where MLSs have to pay more of the money? Do you think maybe if there's not enough money, that the brokers who are members of the MLSs who transacted business within this period, the certain period of time, that they might become liable to some degree? Do you think the agents that listed, if there's not enough money there, the agents who listed property during that period of time might be liable in some case? Do you think maybe there could be some fund that's attached to all MLSs, and every future transaction, a certain amount of money? Although that'll never happen. Well, we never thought a lot of this would happen. And so there's another case. It's the Batten case, Batten Lutz, and what it is almost like a mirror image of the Sitzer case. So the Sitzer case was on the seller side. The Batten case is on the buyer side, and the estimated damages, and I'm sure it'll never get to this, but the estimated potential damages here are a little bit less than $1 trillion. And
how
then,
much is that per plaintiff if we go down?
how many zeros are there in $1 trillion? Right?
But no, hold on. So, and we've heard a lot about the MLSs and not MLSs, realtors are cooperating. I dare say collaborating, and brokers collaborate. That's our entire industry. One thing that the MLS is incredible for is its ability to distribute data, information, widespread across the nation. One thing I envy about the residential world that the commercial world does not have is that 3-day, 72-hour data update. So although, yes, there's a lot of problems with the MLS, it's never going anywhere. It's too powerful. Is that a fair statement? I mean, at the end of the day, if you could come over and do the commercial world, we'd be doing very well. Although what you just said just assured me that will not happen, because we don't want to be liable in the commercial world for anything more. So that's a good thing.
Well, so, and I just kind of look out into the future and see the potential here based on the things that have happened forever and the things that are happening right now. So there's no telling where this ends up, but people need to be careful. They need to understand that there are these liabilities. There are these people that don't believe, as we believe, that the MLS is a miracle, that it's a positive thing, that countries around the world are all looking to emulate what we've created here with MLS in this country. We've got the major players. You've got the battle of the titans. The biggest real estate companies now suing each other over the data. And you're right, Andreas, it's all about this data. You know, we're implementing right now in San Diego the ability for parties to get access, real-time access to our data, where our stuff's now sitting up in Amazon Web Services. It's a little bit more expensive to do it this way, but to give people that instant access, which will give them better SEO. Now, those people that can't pay for that kind of access, we still give them access. They just pay a little bit less for that access. So we're looking at repricing. We're doing it right now, repricing our data, making it a more fair approach to the pricing. Why are we doing this? Because of all these threats that are out there. We have to take advantage of our assets. And we're a subscription business, but we can't just keep raising the subscription fee so that we've got the reserves to handle any potential liabilities that come from this litigation. We have to look to our true resource, which is all this data and our ability to keep the data fresh and our ability to distribute the data, and really charge these companies that build billion-dollar businesses around the data that we provide to them, the data provided by the hardworking realtor that's out on the street, that gets this listing, that gets that information and enters it and pays to enter it into the system, only that some other companies could take that data, create billion-dollar businesses, and in some cases sell leads back to our participants and subscribers. So the key is the data. We're looking to make that data readily accessible, but not for nothing.
Right. Well, so you said real-time access. And for those that don't know, real-time access for real estate data is 30 days old. Unless you've got the right broker or the right realtor or the right team, Inland's acquisition team, boots on the ground. That's day to day. That's real-time data creating actionable insights. It sounds like you guys doing great things over there. On the data side, the intelligence side, handling these threats. Inland's always I won't say cut ahead, but Inland's very good at executing based on data, based on intelligence, as is the brokerage community. We are seeing it day in and day out. And this is what I said about me being busier while others are sitting back. It's easy to sit back and go, woe is me, look at the litigation, what can I do? It's smarter to lean in and say, how can I adapt and really accelerate into a better, bigger, smarter business? And that's what we're seeing play out in real time. And Saul, you've mentioned everything you've mentioned on this show 90 episodes ago come true. So you've heard it here first, really. Yeah.
And Saul, your background and experience is just so well known. I mean, you have such a great reputation, and we're so blessed to have someone of your caliber and understanding of this industry on this show. You are the Obi-Wan Kenobi, man.
Yeah. It's great to be here with you guys.
Well, so
sure.
With all 700 MLSs, you were the roadshow. You created what is now Realtor.com, part of the team, to be fair. I'm curious, and we mentioned it last show, Dan, you weren't there for it. AI integration into the MLS. You mentioned you're using it for Q&A. It's a start. Is there any more to that? I'm going to leave it open-ended.
Well, here it's kind of interesting. I get at least once a week a request from an AI company for our MLS data.
Right, for your intellect, for your knowledge. The stuff I sell as a consultant, they want,
They want the data because they want to build solutions.
$1 billion companies.
Yeah.
And you're not selling, right? You know what you have and you're keeping.
Well, it depends on the relationship and what they're building can benefit the MLS and our subscribers and participants. So in some cases we're happy to let them utilize our data to build something that we can benefit from.
We being your subscribers and realtors overall.
Yep.
And I don't say it enough on this show, but Inland's got a few tech awards, one of which is in AI recently that came out. And Dan, put you on the spot if you can speak to it. Inland's on the forefront in a few areas, not only development, not only in helping create the DST, but also in tech, in the AI. Can I put you on the spot?
Absolutely. Well, Andreas, with change, we had our founder, Dan Goodwin, passed away, and then Joe Cosenza. So our CEO, Tony Chorizo, is really a cutting edge kind of leader, younger leader. And so AI technology is all part of who we are. And we have adopted some younger folks that have people have retired, and we have a really incredible IT division that is working nonstop to grow and to become really the key forefront of private commercial real estate company like Inland to be out there. And we utilize AI all over the place, and we have 1,400 employees. We manage our own properties, and throughout the whole part of Inland, we do. We're working with technology every possible way, and we're upgrading technology. We're growing. I mean, as you can imagine, it's not cheap, but we also have the focus on investors and wanting to give the investors the most money as possible for a return. And that's always the cutting the walking the razor's edge of what do you invest in the technology world and what do you make sure that investors get. And you have to really take that into account, because investors are utilizing this commercial real estate. What for? For buying their groceries, for paying their bills, for when they're retired. This is part of their retirement, and that's the bottom line for us, is making sure that that we are at the top of our game, because we have a responsibility to those people that invest with Inland, and that has always been the mantra of our company, of our founders, and it's continuing with the hard work that Tony Chorizo and his entire leadership team is taking on. And it's really the new era. It's Inland 2.0, and it's pretty exciting to be part of that.
It's Inland is, and I'll expand on it. Inland is at the forefront of robotic process of automation. They won the Digi Award 3 or 4 times. That's out of Realcom. Because you're vertically integrated, right?
Yeah.
So you're at the start and middle of the cycle, and you're referencing buying groceries. The people that invest in your product in the DSTs, they live off that return. So
Yes.
right, you have to be responsible for it. And Inland is a great shepherd for those investors, truly. So thank you for being on the show. Yeah, I'll pull it full circle. We can give pats on the back to, because candidly, it's been incredible. This has been an incredible journey, and it will continue to be so. And doing it this way, the time flies. All right, so we skipped part 1. We went right into part 2. Everybody's sitting here evolving. We're halfway through the year. Got the 100th show coming up. What is the one piece of advice? I'm going to bring back an oldie but goodie. What is the one piece of advice to the audience, and what is the one book somebody should pick up and read? I'll give it to Saul first, because I'm assuming he's got a good book next to it.
Yeah, so some things never change, right? And so if my best piece of advice for right now is pay attention to the tax laws, because it's not how much you earn, it's how much you keep. And so real estate gives you a great opportunity to keep more of your money. And I have begun to read a book. It's called The Thinker's Toolkit. And it's about planning and techniques for problem solving. So every once in a while, I don't have anything to read, and I pick up something that's kind of interesting. Now, one more, you can't find this book. This is a great book. It's Real Estate in American History by P.J. Davies, which she was like the NAR librarian. And so this book is fascinating if you're interested in real estate. So of all those people that are real estate historians, this is the book.
And the history is our future.
American history. I think this is something that was probably created in Taiwan, no copyright, because the book's out of print. And I just recently got my hands on a new copy of it.
Okay, so then pay attention to the tax laws, not through ChatGPT or otherwise. Actually look in real news, right? Sources matter in this case. And then you mentioned deferring taxes. Well, that was an easy push over to Dan. DST, deferring taxes all day. What is the biggest piece of advice you can give our audience? And then what is the one book?
Sure.
And I'll open up. Show what is the recommendation for them to do better?
You got it. The most important thing is to be involved with your local realtor association, to have the 3-way agreement to belong. Because belonging, you're going to have a whole army of people that are going to be able to keep you updated about those tax laws and all the other laws that can happen to your local zoning issues, everything else. So be engaged and be involved. Behind me, you see one of my heroes is Abraham Lincoln. Besides the Bible, for me, the other book that I tell everybody to read is from Doris Kearns Goodwin, who's an author that wrote the book Team of Rivals. And that's about how Abraham Lincoln was able to lead America during the most difficult time of our country, and the leadership ability of what he had to do to be able to die to himself and get the best out of the competition, and still knowing that they were still shooting at him, but he was able to harness that and go above the typical human experience. I think is probably one of the best books I've ever read, and I recommend that to everybody.
I love it. I will follow the same line here. So the attention to tax and zoning regulation with a local, hyper local example. I won't say exactly where. Broker A is promoting out a project of X size, property of X size. They need to sell it. They're about to price it. It is in this instance, to change the example slightly. Let's call it an office campus. An office campus is worth X in today's market. What happens if the government rezones underneath said office campus? The value changes greatly. If you don't know that that zoning change is underway, and you can know, they have zoning meetings. These are things you can beat, even if you don't know the people. It's all there for you. If you didn't know that was happening, better yet, if you did know that zoning change was about to occur, and you're there with your clients buying up all the property within that zone or in the edge of that zone, money is made, fortunes are made. So the best advice I can give those watching the show is tune in to your zoning meetings. If you can't join a zoning board, be a part of a zoning board, tune into the Zoom meetings, get the notes. In addition to being a card-carrying member of NAR, join the National Association of Realtors if you're a realtor, and others, depending on which industry you are in. As far as the best book, I dare say I'll give the quick how-to Shift Commercial, which is Gary Keller's book on how to handle a shifting market commercially. Not because I'm proud to be part of KW Commercial at this point in my career, but because it had a tremendous amount of insights, some of which I saw elsewhere, some that were new. But take that, combine it with the knowledge you get from all your other sources, including NAR, including this show, and you've got a real recipe for success. So I want to thank you, Dan. I want to thank you, Saul, for tuning in every month, for being such great co-hosts, for making this show great, while we all make America great on our 250th anniversary this year, July 4th. I want to thank our audience, and I'm looking forward to seeing you both next month. Thank you for tuning in, reporting, and being a part of such a great thing. 100 episodes in December. Thank you.
Great job. It's an honor being with you. Take care, everybody.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
All right, welcome back. Could not be more excited now for part 2 of our July show with none other than Becca Carlson Integrated, woman-owned business, marketer of the year. Becca, nice to have you back with us. Happy July.
Woohoo! Happy July, happy holiday weekend. Great to be here.
Thank you. And then none other than Chris Abel, Associated Builders and Contractors. Excuse me.
You got it.
I swear I have not started partying for the 4th. I swear.
That's your problem.
Yeah, well, tomorrow, like the rest of the world, I hope everybody will be off and enjoying our country's 250th birthday. Fun fact.
Excellent.
So, with no further ado, as always, it's a 3-part show. For those tuning in just now, because they came only to see Becca, Chris, and I, instead of Dan and Saul from part 1. Becca, what's the latest and greatest on the marketing side of the business here in July?
Well, I would say the conversations continue to center around digital presence, which isn't a surprise. And I find that a lot of folks are having challenges in marrying their digital presence and their physical presence, because there's a huge expectation to be out and about, and it's increasingly impacting whether people are able to sustain their digital presence. So we're seeing some conflicts there, and we've actually had a number of clients come to us for social media help, literally because they're out of time, because they are expected to be traveling for work. They're expected to be at conferences and events. and they simply are running out of bandwidth to handle their own marketing pieces. So that is definitely, I would say, we are very different than the conversations we had 48 months ago, or even 24 months ago, or 12 months ago, right? Like it is just very interesting how uh, I wondered, right? Would it come back? I would say it's back.
Yeah. Well, and conference season again, right? So you had ICFC, people were moving, they were shuffling. Chris was away, Saul was away. We have CRE Tech coming up in October 21st to the 22nd. See us roundtable hosts there, as well as the industry's elite owners, occupiers, operators, and the latest and greatest in tech. Not a shameless plug. Please do come join us there. But so you're saying that people professionals, those that have the professionals, because labor shortage is still an issue.
Sure.
I'm going to come over to you, Chris, on that in a minute, are struggling to keep up with their digital selves and physical selves.
Yes.
Which shouldn't be that hard, right? Can't I just take a selfie when I'm walking around and post it on social media, Becca?
Sure. Do
But
you?
not really. No. I've got,
That's the problem.
actually, to be fair, here's the little EAC drone, this big. And so when we're out and we're visiting properties, we do, throw it up in the air, so to speak. And there's some work that team does in the background with it. But I probably don't do enough with my social media, if I'm being honest. Outside of this show, speaking of the show, thank you again to our audience. Happy 250th birthday to our country, America. Without you, the show's not possible. And without the builders of this country building it, none of us would be here, show included.
Sure.
So, social media aside, Chris, what's going on in the construction world?
Well, definitely want to talk a little bit about the social media stuff and what we were just chatting about after, because I just had a conversation with someone earlier today about that. But on the construction side of things, pretty interesting. A lot of moving and shaking going on. I'm in the process right now, just a little pull back the curtain moment. I'm in the process right now of working on the directory for my chapter over here at ABC, and the amount of, while I'm doing mock-ups and doing things to get this directory situated, the amount of changes for personnel is staggering. Like primary contact personnel, like people who go in the directory as the primary contact. It's like I blink and all of a sudden they're somewhere else. I blink, someone else is somewhere else, or somewhere else. Someone else is somewhere else. And it's happening at such a rapid pace. Like literally, this is a project, honestly, I wish I had done probably about a month and a half ago. But due to time, there hasn't been the time to kind of narrow it down. But it is kind of mind-blowing how quickly it's like this person's been here. I'm talking years. Some of these situations where the person who's been with the company for a year and a half and then moves on to another one, I'm used to that. I can see that coming a mile away. But to sit there and say, okay, this person's there 12 years and, decide to either hang it up or go over to somebody else or whatever the case is. I mean, it's happening very quickly.
These are horizontal shifts, or are they more hanging their head up?
Most of them are horizontal.
Most are horizontal.
Most of them are horizontal. I mean, there's not as many. I think we're on the cusp of the retiring kicking back up again. That was happening right around COVID, post-COVID, where around 2021, people had that little touch of freedom. That's kind of a weird way to describe COVID, but
trying to say, yes, this change.
Yeah, 4th of July, COVID freedom. So but they had that little touch of like, okay, this is what it's like to kind of be home. This is what it's like to be around family. And then maybe 2021, 2022, they basically started planning. And then by 2023, they made a move and they were out. And then things have seemed to slow down. I see less retirement posts or hear less about people retiring in our industry over the last year and a half to 2 years, but I feel like that's kind of coming right around the corner, especially with the actual labor side of things. We're about to see a big boom where the plumbers, the HVAC techs, and construction trades people like that are going to start retiring again, and you'll start hearing about it more again.
So is it fair to, and I'm just going to unpack a little bit here.
Mm-hmm.
So Is it fair to say that those that needed to stayed on through COVID, right, to run their businesses because they had to, and
Yeah.
it was essential businesses at that point. Money was made, right? And those people that I count on as a broker to fix the buildings, to prep them for my next owners, to help maximize value, those owners of those construction companies collectively are now shifting. Some are retiring.
Yeah, the GCs and the CMs, those horizontal moves are pretty interesting to see because it's kind of like, wow, there's loyalty here or longevity here or whatever the case is. So that part is pretty interesting for me to see because it's person to person and that sort of thing. The other part that I'm seeing, the companies that got through the 2020, 2021 type of thing, is I'm seeing a lot of for specialty contractors, I'm seeing a lot of private equity coming in and trying to purchase those companies.
Really?
Oh,
Buy
wow.
those companies, set
Okay.
them up. So many of them, let's say, I'm just going to pick one now. I'll just pick HVAC in general. So private equity coming in, making a move, purchasing a company, keeping the owner in position for either ownership or like an operations type of thing for a certain amount of time. So then they can retire when they, maybe they're waiting for, full Social Security kick in, whatever. Everyone's issues are different. But then they're going on and then they're going to the next HVAC and they're offering there and they're offering there and they're offering there. Now it's happened in the residential sector for quite some time. And there's a lot of situations where if you bring someone over to fix, something in your house that has to do with HVAC, and you want to get 3 or 4 prices, chances are that the private equity side is all the same.
They're all the same price. They're priced out together, right?
But yeah, they're all the
They're on
same. They're all the same company over top. You just don't. And they're going, oh, you want to go find somebody cheaper? Go ahead, find somebody cheaper. And then you go to see Tom instead of Joe, and then you go see Susie, and it ends up being
The same guy.
which is just, it stinks. I mean, that's just it's rough because we're the ones who are taking on the cost. Now the commercial side is starting to pick up on that sort of thing, where it'll start getting policed will be in the, in the bidding and things like that. Like it's going to get interesting. I don't see these companies coming in and just trying to purchase commercial. They're going to try to get the specialty contractor who has both.
Right.
And
Oh,
with the
yeah.
idea of like, we'll bid the commercial construction, they could, the bidding and all that. Okay, that's going to be what it's going to be. But that residential, we're going to try to blow up that residential, side of things to make as much money as possible. By the way, we own this one and this one and this one and this one, and you don't know about it. So it's pretty interesting stuff, and it's happening in the Northeast a lot. I don't know if this is happening all over the country. I don't know. But for me to start catching wind of it is pretty interesting. And, it's not something I might have spoken about maybe a few months back, but now it's kind of out there at this point where people are talking about it a little in the industry. And quite frankly, I'm getting the calls. Hey, eventually a company changes ownership.
Right.
And it's public knowledge that a company changes ownership. And who are the owners? And the owners are public knowledge. But the problem is for the private consumers, like, Becca, if you were going to have somebody come in and do like electrical work and you needed it done, are you really going to dig in and go, wait a second, this is owned by some private equity fund? This is owned by private? Not really. You just want the lights on. You want the air conditioning on. You want the heat on. You want the comfort of those types of things.
We're getting new HVAC on Monday.
There you go.
I've already
Go
done
into-
this process last week with the
Yeah.
HVAC. Yes.
Yeah.
We don't really care who owns
Yeah.
the company. We just
Yeah.
want air conditioning.
Yeah. But then on the flip side of it is that, some of the ones that stick by their guns, like some of the younger owners are saying, no, I'm not. And I'll just throw a number out there, but like, I'm not going to sell for 3 million. I know where my company's going and I have to work and I want to work. So some of them are really going to come out on top down the road because let's be honest, those private equity companies, they're not going anywhere. That's their job. Their job is to
Well,
purchase thriving companies.
they're going to buy them up, and where I
Some
see
point.
that fall into the bottom line is as they buy them up, the margins become more and more important. So in the startup world, right, the startup ecosystem, you build out your system, your company just enough that you get funding. Then
Yeah.
they get that money, and then you have an overlord. And I say that with all due respect to any and all overlords that have invested in friends of mine. You're wonderful and thank you.
Mm.
But all of a sudden, it really becomes all about the margin and not the mission, because
Yeah.
it has to be. Because you're not a private company, you can't make those choices. And while I love my air conditioning and everything to work, when I put my clients in touch with a GC and I give them the team, here's your electrical, here's your engineer, here's everybody. Because I know that I'm comfortable that they're going to get the lights on, so to speak.
Mhm.
I also know that the cost is going to be somewhere based on the others, on free market.
Yes.
And what
Yes.
you're saying is that free market isn't free anymore. That it's that the margins are going to start to tighten up, which is terrifying.
Yeah, which for commercial construction and for, a group like mine, that's our whole thing is free enterprise. It's kind of like, it's a little unsettling. But then the other side of things is when you have skilled tradespeople and really highly skilled tradespeople and people who are doing the jobs correctly, like, let's be honest, I mean, we're all willing to pay a premium for good service,
Good,
good
faster,
people,
cheap,
good.
pick two.
Yeah, really. I mean, at the end of the day, and that goes for every service-based thing. So, I've had situations where, someone's come in and we needed them to do something and they pull the dryer apart and all this sort of stuff, and then they hit you with the price with everything scattered around your basement, and you're like, gotta do it. But you know what? Seems to know what he's doing, seems to be nice, seems to be fast. The price isn't horrible. All right, do it. I'm not going to have them, it's happening then and now. I'm not going to go back and say, go put everything together and I'm going to call 3 more people to try to save $100. There's a certain value to, hey, this person showed up and they seem to be doing what they say they were going to do.
Well, and if you've got the right team to advise you on who to hire, where'd you find your guy? Right? Did you call from
Of
your
course.
Yeah.
I dug into my network. It might not have been one of my people because they don't necessarily do that type of stuff, but I'm not going to lie. Like my first go-to is going to be, I mean, I got a new security system. My first go-to is
Yeah.
contact the security company that I know, trust, and deal with, and and let's rock and roll.
And then is your second go-to to go to Google and find whatever comes up on Perplexity because of Carlson Integrated's work?
To use,
Put it
yeah,
up there.
it's to use AI and just
Well, bringing it back. So because I Google, right, and Becca, you gave us this tip 3 shows ago or 4 shows ago, and now I have Perplexity open a lot, and I'm constantly checking it, and it's fun to watch the world shift in real time. So you're doing new HVAC. You're out there doing social. Talk to us more on your end, Becca. What does it look like now in July for you?
Oh, well, I will say to Chris's point around that idea of proliferation and consolidation. I actually was talking to a colleague yesterday about the brokerage industry here in Chicago because during and post COVID, there's a lot of fragmentation, a lot of smaller shops opening, like the big companies. Suddenly they used to have 30 brokers. Suddenly they're down to a bunch of, they're down to 10, and 20 brokers have gone and started 7 companies. It's pretty surprising and impressive. At the same time, my big question to him, and he's at one of those smaller shops that at some point came out of a larger shop, I was like, when do you think that consolidation is going to come back in? Because typically it is hard to support from an infrastructure standpoint. A company of 4 people or 5 people or 6 people can be really challenging because it's hard to create those departments and those hierarchies and the kind of the layers that you need for support. And I have had multiple conversations with brokers in recent weeks around the support that a company can bring them and how little of it they are getting this day and age. And I actually know that's very different than what you do, Andreas, because you provide unbelievable, not just the toolkit, actual training, actual support to your brokers, but you're such an anomaly because they're expected to be phenomenal salespeople. And I think we see this in a lot of industries, right? Like we're supposed to be like awesome, kick-ass salespeople. And simultaneously be amazing admins and organizational assistants. Oh, wait, and how's your graphic design skills coming in? Because you have to make all your own flyers and materials. Like at some point you would think as a society we're gonna stop and go, wait, like that's not real. Like people aren't perfect in all of these areas, and putting that onus and that expectation on them and not allowing them to go out and do what they're magnificent at, especially like it's fun to watch a good salesperson. It is amazing to watch somebody who has kind of that art of negotiation down and like they bring win-win to everybody. Like it is such a cool thing to watch. So if we are bogging down, and again, I think that's where these smaller companies are going to struggle, and we're going to see that come into this era of consolidation that comes into play. And Chris, when we talk about private equity, I think that's what they're offering, right? All the back office is centralized.
Yeah.
So they centralize all the back office so that all that support is there, and then you just have sales guys for each different brand.
Yep.
That's where that big savings and that big bump that makes it interesting to private equity comes from. But I will say, having watched multiple industries have just kind of not take over, but private equity investment that has kind of attempted to change those industries or to make a lot of money off of those industries, it is very rare to find private equity that is a really great operator of a business they have not grown up in. And that is where there's going to be, you're correct, there's going to be major opportunity for the people who outlast this kind of rush of equity investment. Because what did you say, Andreas? You said it's not, they stopped worrying about the mission.
Oh, yeah. So it's all margins, not mission.
Yeah.
Yeah. And thank you for the tip, because we do. So as business owners, everybody here, we're all business owners, we all cross function, right? And I do expect each of my people to cross function. And they can't just go ask ChatGPT to do it. You just can't. It's not going to work. And it's along the same lines to that equity example. They don't know what to do with what you're telling them because they didn't grow up in it. They don't understand the mechanics behind it. They may understand what it all looks like on 5 screens, but not actually how to put it together. So it is tough. And the consolidation, and we are seeing it here as well, right, Becca? So we've got, I don't know, 109 sales brokerages in the state of Connecticut. 69 of those do volume. The other ones are 1s and 2s, right? Proud to say we're in the top 10 of those, but doing volume. The rest, what will they do? Because that infrastructure is expensive. The costs continue to go up. The idea or the appeal of an equity firm saying, hey, or a fund saying, hey, I'll give you all your back office. I'll do it all for you. It's great. Look, part of the reason I brought EAC Properties into KW Commercial is because they offer more infrastructure and back office than anywhere else for as little as possible comparatively. You can't buy this much infrastructure. I know I've tried on my own. So it's out there. It's happening in real time. Wait till next year. You'll hear it here first on the growth as we continue to grow. We're at 13 states and growing, in first place by dollar sales volume as a brokerage, as a team working. That is incredible, right? Okay, EAC alone in the top 10 now here in Connecticut.
Nice.
Growing. Thanks to my good friends on this call and my good friends in the audience. And really, the room full of smart people, and in the other rooms full of smart people. Yes, does technology help? 100%. But it accelerates the way, or as I've said for years, or it gets in the way. It is not a replacement. Shout out to Jonathan Stein on that one.
It gets in the way. That's it. That's gonna continue to be a hurdle in that consolidation process.
Well, and I've noticed it may get in the way for someone like me, someone like you, most of our audience, because we look at it and we go, that's wrong. But now you mix in people that are young enough to not know it's right or wrong, and now business falls down. And you mentioned mentorship and guiding it earlier on. What happens, Chris, to your point, if those funds come in and private equity takes those companies, those owners are staying on to guide the ship because those equity funds can't. And at some point they have to let go of the reins. And that's a scary proposition. And that's where I really think those entrepreneurs that stuck it out, that $3 million company is going to be a $13 or $30 million company. Because he'll be the only one left with the actual knowledge to get through it and survive.
And they have the ability for on the construction side of things, when you're talking about the trades, they also have the ability to treat their people better too.
And their customers, their people,
Yeah.
their customers.
Yeah. The private equity side, they may be able to throw some money and some decent benefits in somebody's direction that may kind of sway them at first, but eventually a lot of these people will want to have that freedom and feel, like they are involved with something that's actually worthwhile. It's the difference between, putting on the uniform that everyone's putting on and, putting on the one that you had a chance and going, you know what, these shirts don't breathe right. And then the owner going, you know what, let's try to do something different. Let's not just keep, I was involved with a company, this is going back a while ago, that went through that whole situation where, private equity came in, it started as a family thing, had 13 locations, private equity came in, blew it out to 26 locations. Some of those locations didn't even open because they didn't do the research. First of all, they were setting up the locations incorrectly, not by industry standard by any means. Okay. And then the other thing is some of them, actually Chicago being a great example, they were taking the same model that was going on here in Connecticut and in Florida and in, maybe somewhere in the Carolinas and different places. And they would have a Boston location, but it really wasn't Boston. It was outside of Boston, so they could bring the cost down so they can use the model the way it was meant to be, because Boston's rent would be far too high and they couldn't buy. Chicago didn't even open. Yeah, Chicago didn't even open. Las Vegas didn't even open. A California campus, California one didn't even open because they sat there basically dormant for about a year and a half, set up incorrectly, brand new, looked great, but they couldn't get their bearings under them to figure out how, and what they were charging was far too much for what they were actually trying to offer. So before you know it, they folded and the family came in and was able to snatch it back up for pennies on a dollar, take all the equipment, all the stuff, and go back to the original 13.
Sure.
And that's when
But that's a unicorn, to be clear. If equity comes to help you,
yeah.
chances are you're not going to be there to buy it back at the end.
No. And this was more the commodity than anything, like what it actually was. This was not licensed electricians that hold stacks and stacks and stacks of value to a lot of different people. This was a commodity that was very much a specialty type of thing, but interesting stuff. It's definitely interesting stuff.
Well, the carousel of life, right? You can't get off. It just keeps going.
Yeah. I was just talking to somebody about that yesterday. I was like, you don't stay on until you get sick. You stay on until it's not fun anymore.
Yep. Hey, no, you stay on till you stay on. Oh my God. But it's been fun. Ken, you wouldn't have heard it on the first part of the show, but we are coming up on our 100th episode in December. Could not be more excited. We've now crossed about 4,200 tune-ins and downloads monthly.
Nice.
And we were ranked in the top 100 commercial real estate podcasts by a group that Dan Wagner sent to me, because they sent it to him. And I promised to put you guys in my show notes for the next show when I pull that back up. So the show continues to grow at an amazing rate, almost as well as all of us and all our audiences, and continue forward. Because if we do keep our heads down and do the work, business comes. We grow in our relationships. So what is the one piece of advice? Sorry about that. I didn't turn my device off. That's incredibly rude.
Andreas.
I know.
Yeah. Andreas, the
90
anomaly.
episodes, and I didn't do it right. And I want to thank you guys for doing the pre-report ahead of July 3rd. A lot of saying we had to do it differently. So what's the biggest piece of advice you see coming into this next month that you can give our audience?
Want me to go first?
I do,
Yeah.
Chris. You're on
All
the
right, so
Brady Bunch wheel.
So not a problem. So mine is, and I'm taking my own advice on this one, and it's starting to pay off, is just things are different. Things are a little bit strange. Plan and stay the course. Make adjustments as needed. That's my biggest thing. I'm having a very interesting year on my end for several reasons. And I basically dug in even yesterday and kind of reset myself to adjust. But the main thing is to adjust to actually to come out on top and to come out winning. Construction is just now picking up, which is strange. It is July.
Oh,
Usually that happens, April, May, even late March, even early June when colleges kind of go away and all that kind of builds up. It's a strange situation in this industry. It's time to lock in and just kind of set a plan and stay the course and just try to stay positive.
Well, that's what you said at the beginning, right? It's just travel through, right? Keep working through. Is what you said there's interesting. Is the construction jump a delayed reaction to the administration, or is it just
I would say yes. I mean, I'm not a legislative expert by any stretch, but I would say yes. I mean, we have some funky stuff going on. I'm not going to get too into it because time constraints, but Trump doubled down on something that Biden put in place for PLAs on his infrastructure government contracts, and that was not expected by by the majority of the construction industry, and definitely not by the merit shop industry. And he doubled down on it and did not take it away, and it changed a lot of different things. So I would, if I had to take a guess, I would say, we had to see where tariffs were going to land. We had to see where the administration was going to land in general. We had to see where all these things needed to land.
and now they've
And
landed?
that's- And now they've landed, or at least there's a soft landing at least, and then from now we'll figure out something's going to be next. It doesn't matter which side of the aisle you're on. This administration is like nothing we've ever seen before. So at the end of the day, there's going to be shifts. It's just a matter of when can you make money, make it,
Yeah.
or when you can't make money, go make it. When you can't work, go work, and because nothing's going to get any cheaper out there. So you gotta keep working.
The fair point. We were talking to Dan and Saul in part one, the pre-recorded for the show. And Dan said something interesting. And to your point, this is an administration we've never seen. Did you know, or do you realize the National Association of Realtors is an association like one we've never seen? It's red and blue, commercial, residential, not Democrat, Republican, because we don't care. We're on both
Sure.
sides.
Sure.
And it continues and it thrives and it keeps going. And luckily, the 1031's intact and a whole host of other things. Part one of the show. You'll have to tune in. Also, best book or tip for the audience. And I'll give you a second to think on it because I'm dropping it on you last minute. Well, Becca gives us her advice for the month. But then we'll go back to you, Chris. Go ahead.
So, okay. So, Chris, I loved your recommendation to stay the course. And I actually used had like an opportunity to do some mentoring, which I love. And was speaking with an associate that I'm doing this mentoring with around predictability. And we talked about how I was able to give like that macroeconomic example of how it has impacted the entire country and the entire business world to not have predictability at the White House. So building that into how you want to be when you're on a team is to be predictable. And we talked about how important deadlines are and hitting those deadlines and the why around it, because it's not just hit your deadlines, or if you don't hit your deadlines, your boss could fire you. Instead, it's more around because everyone's comfortable with things they can trust. They feel that are predictable, that they know what the result is going to be. And it's something that I think we all can strive to be reliable, predictable, even keeled. And that's part of that staying the course is there are lots of opportunities to have a freak out moment, but being kind of the rock solid in that, or like allowing yourself to freak out and then put your head down and do your work, right? Like those are really critical elements of keeping everybody around you in like a very peaceful and productive environment. So I will double down on stay the course. I'll stay the course and be reliable.
And sometimes sometimes things are going to work. They'll work out. They're just not going to work themselves out. That's really my biggest thing is like can't just sit back and do nothing. But
No.
things will work out at the end if you kind of do the right things, hopefully.
If you're dependable, said
Mhm.
another way. A lot,
Yeah.
as long as the deadlines are dependability, if you stick to your deadlines, then your clients depend on you, and that reliability, that dependability is what breeds execution. What
Sure.
the inevitable outcome. That's my one piece of advice. I gave my piece of advice in part one of the show. But book, show, podcast can't be ours. That's mine. I'm the one that you recommend to the audience for the next 30 days.
I'm gonna go simple, affordable, and not time consuming. One of my favorites that I actually have read several times is Eat That Frog by Brian Tracy.
Oh yeah.
Very simple. I usually have a rotation of a larger business or networking or marketing or something type of book going on, some sort of sports book going on, and then a small little book that's usually around 100, 110 pages. And that's one, Eat That Frog is one of my favorite small ones. And it's just about stopping procrastinating, handling your biggest issue first thing in the morning or that sort of stuff. I've read it several times, and I kind of lean back on that book every once in a while when like things are going on right now, where I just have million projects, million things going on. And
But you're still dependable. So
you try to be, you know, the best you possibly can. So yeah. And then I try to you know, to avoid that freak out moment. Or after that freak out moment, read the book.
read the
And
book.
then you can get back to where you need to be.
I love it. Becca.
So I have a recommendation from my dear friend Deanne Gunia, Gunia. She just finished writing a book. It's coming out on the 29th of July on Kindle for like 99 cents. Like this is well worth it, but it's what every small business should know about, or what every business decision maker should know about IT. She is a cybersecurity expert and she's great. The other cybersecurity book I thought about buying because I'm such a huge fan, Darren Hayes wrote this book, but unfortunately it's for a curriculum for college. And I didn't think I needed to be college educated in cybersecurity protocols and forensic digital stuff. I was looking at like I want to buy all my friends' books, but that one I was like, ooh, Darren, I don't know. I don't think I can buy your book.
Darren is an incredible cybersecurity forensic expert. I can tell you this firsthand because he was my expert, my go-to. It's how we met. I needed something. I have not bought his book either, but I will shout it out and put it in the show notes because it is, as you just said, academic material. I'm pulling up. I want to get the author right on this book for me, but there are two here. It's not going to show it to me. And I've started to cheat. So I used to love to read, clearly. Right. And now I use Audible books. So that's okay for those that do it. But it's Be Your Own CEO. And there's a section, you don't have to read it. I'm going to give you the Cliff Notes version. There's a section in it that's very important that speaks to everything mentioned today. When you arrive at a company, do not seek to change every and all processes within said company until you have been in that company for at least 60 to 90 days. Because until you've used the processes in place for 30, 60, 90 days, you can't say they're wrong or come up with new ones because you don't know how they're wrong or if they actually are wrong.
Yeah.
I know it seems like rocket science. It seems like simple science, but I cannot tell you, I am 13 startups I've consulted with at this point, how many times I've seen consultants show up and they're just like, that's just wrong. Let's drop that and do something else. And there's an opportunity cost and there's a threat to that. So be your own CEO, and we'll put it in the show notes. I want to thank our audience. I want to thank my incredible team of co-hosts here for making this all possible, making it bigger and better, and the only candid conversation across real estate, tech, finance, cybersecurity, construction, brokerage, government policy, everything involved in the world of commercial real estate, residential real estate, and beyond. Together. Thank you guys for tuning in. Thank you, my co-hosts, for showing up and showing out. And I cannot wait to see you at CRE Tech New York, October 21st to 23rd at the Javits Center. Check out the show notes to find the information.
Thanks for tuning in to the Real Estate Roundtable, powered by CRECo.ai, your source for the latest in real estate and technology. For past episodes, sector interviews, and more great content, follow us on all social media and YouTube at CRE Collaborative. You can also find us anywhere you listen to podcasts. Please like, subscribe, and share. It really does help. Thanks again for tuning in, and we'll see you at the next Real Estate Roundtable.